The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor yourself, inner knowing, and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine, podcast, and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Hello. Today I have the privilege of reconnecting with Patricia Wald-Hopkins, Sovereign Magazine's multidimensional wealth consciousness columnist. She is a multidimensional guide, Akashic wisdom keeper, and the founder of the Voices of Gaia project. She blends her background in environmental science, feminine leadership, and energy medicine, and she supports the rise of new earth leaders through frameworks like the White Lioness Mystery School and the Infinite Self Oracle. She is a Gene Keys ambassador, Kundalini yoga teacher, and an alchemist of beauty and truth. She transmits light codes through writing, her voice, and ritual to awaken remembrance and restore harmony with Gaia. Welcome back, Patricia.
Oh, hello. So good to be here again.
It is. Today we're going to be talking about transformation, which is our theme for the May full moon issue. And in your article, Rising Phoenix of Prosperity, Transforming the Shadows of Money into Sovereign Power, you really illuminate how us as humans are being called to transform our relationship with money from one of control and fear into conscious creation and divine flow. So for those who perhaps haven't read your article yet, maybe share a little bit about why you wrote it, the essence of it. Just share more.
Yeah, I'd love to. Oh, well, this article focuses on the visionary and the archetypes for the Voices of Gaia New Earth Leadership Framework. And it's changing the way that we look at the world, and it's looking at it through the water eye. So it's more of a feminine, a holistic, more feminine vision of how we relate to transformation and money versus the fire eye, which is more of a masculine energy, although we have both, right? We need both. But this visionary, I just feel her energy, and it's love. It's through the lens of love. It's almost like through, what is that, rose-colored glasses, but it's not fantasy. It's the vision. It's a vision that comes through that's softer and more nourishing and more loving for all of humanity. And there's shadow aspects to that came up, but yeah.
I love this so much because I think from a standpoint of just society in general, we tend to participate a lot in lack, scarcity. That's exactly how I think of, I won't name the company because I don't like them, but everybody will know who I'm talking about. You place your order and you have it on your steps the next day. I haven't subscribed to that company since 2018. But it's part of this ingrained process, if you will, that as soon as we purchase, we must have it. And I use a different company, and it sometimes takes me 2 weeks to get things, and it's very frustrating. But I just refuse to buy into the system of that I have to have everything next day. I'm teaching myself patience, and do I really need that thing? It makes me think twice, right? But we have become part of this quote unquote natural flow of lack and scarcity. And I believe that company creates this sense of lack and scarcity if we don't have it within 24 hours on our doorstep, or even sometimes 2 to 3 if you pay for the extra shipping. Then we've created this angst and anxiety within us that we're not going to get the thing on time, right? And so how does the visionary work with us on a maybe conscious and subconscious level to help us with our money mindset and reality.
So I'm being given as this vision. I didn't mean for it to
I love
say
visions.
that's the visionary, but so it actually took me way back. It was almost in ancient. Well, it was in like ancient times when the systems were simpler and more in tune with natural flow and rhythm of the earth and the way things that could, you could have access to materials and you could actually, even like lighting is different throughout the year. So you can't make certain things in the, without being able to see very well, right? The days are shorter. So maybe you don't make a lot of things. And it just took me back to this vision where that's how we created. And we didn't create to fill our coffers with money. We created out of a deep need for nourishment, and we exchanged nourishment with one another through the gifts that we bring and the things that we cultivate. And so it was just very, I feel it in my body, and I'm not really good with words sometimes around those. I have these feelings, but it's just like, yes, more of that. And this
Yeah.
giving from that place of sustenance rather than that scarcity. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, or I'm going to run out, or I'm not going to get, or I'm not going to. And so that's the kind of vision that I see potentially, right, for us. What if all of our systems?
Yeah, for sure. And the vision I was getting when you were talking was of this welder, like, banging his hammers, and he's got the heat and all of this going on. And it was a very specialized trade. And no two items were exactly the same because he was, working, he or she, I should say, or they were working. And so I was imagining that. And now everything's on such like a mass production thing. The quality's gone down, and the textiles that we're using, and everything is just not the same as it used to be. And what I was tapped into while I was imagining this welder and this fire and these sparks flying was the love that they were putting into that product. And then when it was received, that love was felt, right? So there was this energetic connection between the reciprocity of making and buying and receiving and giving.
Yes, beautifully said. And it amplified, right? It's not just a exchange of energy, it's actually a creation of some sacred third, right? Of more bounteousness and beauty through that exchange. So it's a different kind of economy, right? And it's not one that we're very familiar with. I mean, we're not there yet.
Yeah, but we're getting there through things like this. I think that one of the things in your article that struck me, and I would love to kind of talk it out a little bit, because this article is really, so for those who haven't listened to Patricia's other articles or podcasts and read her other features, it would be really good if you did, because the voices of Gaia are all archetypes that stem from the womb, and there's a golden spiral that goes out, and each of the archetypes is on that golden spiral. So that's just for a little bit of context there. But one of the things that you were talking about in your article is how the White Lioness teaches us power, but power without domination. A lot of people look at money in a way of power, greed, domination, things like that. But you really talk about it as a mirror of consciousness, and how women have this perhaps external reality, and they want to transform their internal reality and their relationship with money. And so how do we go about shifting it? Because it's going to take each of us changing ourselves individually in order to help shift the collective, right? So how do we start to have this better relationship with money and a different consciousness around it.
Well, I'm really glad that you asked that and that you brought up the golden spiral, because the visionary is one of the mastery archetypes in New Earth leadership. And you have to go back into the core. You have to go back all the way into the womb and sit with the White Lioness, who's the sovereignty within your womb. You have to go back all the way to that place and tune in to remember why you're really here in this body, and to build the foundation from that place so that when you get out into the mastery levels, into that visionary role, it's already shifted inside you. So it's a lot of that inner work that we all do, but the inner has to come before the outer. And so it's sitting with yourself and what are your true desires and how do you bring those through your channel in a way that is softer and more in flow. So the question to ask yourself is, what I'm seeing, is it nourishing not only for me, but will I have an overflowing cup to share with others? And that's a hard question sometimes because we want immediate satisfaction. I'm guilty. I've had that. Right. So it's not about shaming anybody or shaming myself for not doing it perfectly, but it's always coming back inside and really asking yourself what matters to you and how to bring that out into the world in a way that is nourishing not only for yourself, but for others. And maybe not for everybody, right? Not everybody going to want what you have, but somebody does.
Yeah. And as we begin to do that inner work, I love that you talked about ancient contracts in your article. I thought that was beautiful because it really ties in that we do carry along some ancestral coding within us. And you talk about that sometimes, like, we might believe in that we must suffer in order to be worthy. I know that in a past life, I have a lot of lack and scarcity, especially around food and like just clothing and all of those things. I don't feel like I need much in order to be happy. So I don't need to, quote unquote, have things in order to feel happy, right? I don't get any dopamine hit, if you will. But I know that I don't need to suffer. I'm not going to definitely not suffer, right? I'm not going to put myself through suffering. So I have a different balance there. But I do know people who would rather suffer and go without because they don't feel worthy. So let's talk a little bit about those ancient contracts and agreements.
Oh my goodness. I got chills when you brought that up again, because that is a lot of the inner work that is done and that I do with people is in the Akashic field. And so it's not even just a single lifetime. It's not just your ancestors either. It's like across multi-dimension. And to tease that apart, takes time and patience. But when you do identify one of those patterns or one of those relationships, I think, and what I've experienced or what I feel, is that it's not about clearing it out of your system. It is more about sitting with, looking at it, feeling it, acknowledging it, just like, yeah, this is here. This is true. This is what I went through or my ancestors went through. And I have a different choice. And then you integrate that. You integrate that wisdom, right? Because through their challenges and suffering, they've given you that gift of awareness and insight that things can be done differently. It is a choice point. So it's not about getting rid of, like, there's a lot of clear everything out. I went through that phase too. Just clear it out, but it'll come back. It'll come back in some form, even if you clear it out of your subconscious. There's still these little twiggly danglers everywhere until you actually just sit with it.
Yes, that is so true. It will just pop back up again if you try to stuff it down. I completely agree with that. And I know a lot of your Akashic work can help people with that. So if you have been fascinated by this conversation today, definitely go to community.sovereign-magazine.com to speak with Patricia. She's in our community. All her details are in the show notes, and she's going to be back for the new moon to chat more with us. about wealth consciousness and how we can move through all of this. So thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help you step into your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.